Hello and welcome back to the Catching Up with Kate podcast. I'm your host, Kate, in case you didn't notice. Um, yeah, I named a podcast after myself. Sorry. So, I'm not gonna lie, I was lying in bed at like 7:30 a.m. today, by the way. And I was like, "Oh man, I had to stream today. It's going to be so interesting because I've done some changes to the stream." And then I was like, "Huh, I'm not forgetting anything, am I?" And then I remembered and I was like, "The podcast." Your girl slept in. So, there we have it. I slept in and I've been finding that like usually when I have the podcast on Monday and I'm getting up earlier at 5:30 a.m., uh I feel like I'm a lot more prepared and I have a lot more planned and I do more like I guess kind of like elaborate talking about hot button topics, and I've got to not mess with those cables because that messes with my ring light. Yeah, so today it's not at all going to be like that. In fact, today is probably going to be let's look at some Reddit stuff, I guess. um, it's funny. I was actually thinking last night because I was watching a Reddit. Am I the asshole TikTok? And it was one of those annoying TikToks where they tell you like half the story and then it just ends and it doesn't like tell you the rest. And I thought, I'm gonna block you. I block bitches for like the smallest of reasons. And then yeah, it's like yeah, if you're not gonna make content, I'm sorry, if you're not making content the right way, I'm gonna block you. You do not deserve my view. I'm a vengeful bitch when I can be, I guess. Other times it's like fine, but when it comes to TikTok, I'm very particular about my For You page, and I don't know. I guess like it's so stupid, right? Because TikTok allows you to make like 10, 30-minute videos now. It's like you have no excuse for posting like a 30-second video that realistically probably was going to go for like at least a couple of minutes. And if you're like, oh, well, the thing is, a couple minute videos don't get as many views or something, it's like, I don't know if that's true. And I think that I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I've tried posting like longer form videos on TikTok, but to be fair, they were not good quality videos. They were actually very not so good. So don't know about that one. I don't have any expertise on that stuff at the moment, but yeah. There was something I guess I kind of was thinking about talking about because there was a situation that I was listening about on another podcast about this girl, this influencer girl, potentially, allegedly murdering her cat. And I know that's like a very like, um, it's very intense wording, right? It is. So that's why I put the quotation marks. If anyone's not a visual viewer, I was putting up quotation marks when I said murder because if anything, it was more like accidental, or it was like some form of what's the word when like you're abusive but you're like not really. Is there a word for that when you don't know that you're abusing someone? I don't know. I would say it was oh, the word's escaping me at the moment. I'm sure you can think of something. Listeners at home, follow along. What do you say when someone is being unintentionally bad? I'll wait. Cue like music? I don't know. So, yeah, there was like this whole topic, and I thought I was going insane because everyone was commenting that it was her who was to blame, but I'll explain the story to you. And you might know who it is, you might not. I don't remember her name, but she had this cat called Seven, spelled Sevyn. If you don't know, that's not the way to spell seven, but it's kind of a cute name though, actually. I don't know what it must mean something to her particularly, but I don't know. Anyway, it's a bit of a sad story, and in my opinion, very fucked up because, okay, get this. There's this chick who's in this influencer house. You know how sometimes influencers will like all live in one big mansion, like McMansion or whatever, and they have to like make content like every single day? Well, this was kind of one of those experiences, and they were all contractually obliged to make content like 6 to 8 hours a day in the house. And there was this girl who adopted a cat, but then she also signed with them, and then she didn't know until after the fact that she wasn't allowed to have a cat. And then after speaking with like the manager dude or something, uh, they allowed her to have the cat in the house, but she decided that she was going to have the cat in like just her room because she didn't want the cat escaping somehow, because it's like you're living in a house with like I think 10 other people. That's how big this was. And I'm not saying big as in it was popular, because I don't think it was very popular, but maybe it was. I don't know. It was probably more popular around like the Gen Alphas, I guess. I don't know. The losers underneath my bracket. Yeah. And so I think also one part of it was because she had the cat, she was given like a much, much bigger room, allegedly. I don't know if that's actually the case, but I did see a video of her room, and she did have a really big room. It was like nicer than a lot of apartments that you can get. So in terms of like the living condition for the cat, it looked like a really nice big room. And I think, yeah, for one cat, it was like, yeah, that's fine for a cat, you know? And there were other parties involved who thought that it wasn't good for the cat, so we'll get to those in a second. Anyway, so this chick, she adopts the cat. She has it for, I think, 4 or 9 months. And then at this 4 or 9 month mark, the cat passes away. Now, because she's a content creator, there's a few clips of her with her cat, and obviously material that she made of the cat, you know, because it's her cat. So she took like videos and pictures of it all over the short course of time that she had it. And a lot of people thought or think that it's her fault that the cat died. And so I guess you want to know like what really happened here. And I do want to preface this by saying, like, this girl's like a fresh 18-year-old. She thought, I'm gonna get a cat. And I do think that you probably shouldn't be getting a cat at that age, especially when you're young, you don't really have that stable of a job, of a living environment. You're living in a fucking contract to be like an influencer, and if you're not influencing hard enough, apparently you get kicked out of the house. So, don't know if it's the greatest environment for a fucking cat, but, you know, because you adopt a pet, it's like, that shit's for life, yo. It's life anyway. And its life is meant to go for a lot longer than 4 to 9 months, but there's a lot more to it, right? So, yeah. So she was under the impression that the cat had run away, and that's all that happened. Because what really happened is that one of her housemates in the content house, I don't even know what it was called, but one of her roommates, this guy, looked at the cat while she was in the middle of moving rooms. I think a couple times she had to move to different rooms or something for some reason, which that part I don't really know about, and I would like more of an explanation about it too, because it just seems like, why are people moving rooms so much in this content house? That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, unless there was something more to it, so don't know about that. But yeah, she was in the middle of moving. She had moved most of like 90% of her stuff to the other room, but she had left the cat in her old room with an empty bowl of water and food. And this guy, who had only been living there for like a month, came into the room, which is also like, why are you going into her room? I know that she's moving, but why are you going in there, especially when you like probably know that her cat's still in there. It's like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. That's kind of creepy, to be honest. I don't like that. I don't like it one bit. Anyway, so he spends 5 minutes with this cat, and this is what he said. And he said that he decided in that 5 minutes that he needed to take the cat and nurse it back to health or something, because to him, he said it looked sick. And that because of that, that's why he took it. And then he said he was going to take it to the vet. And then some stuff happens after that. But so he devises a plan. And apparently there's 2 other guys in the room with him. It's like, why? No, okay, 1 guy is like, okay, but 3 guys going into her room? Even if she's in the midst of moving out, I feel like that's still kind of her room. At the very least, it's fucking weird and creepy. And it's like, if you have a cat, she has a cat that she's trying to keep inside the house. I wouldn't trust my random roommates who I barely even know, I just work with them, to go into my room and actually make sure that the cat doesn't walk the fuck out. I wouldn't trust them with that. I wouldn't be comfortable with that. But then again, I wouldn't have a cat in that situation anyway. So, yeah, so what they do, they devise a plan. And this main guy who is like, I'll take the cat and I'll look after it. I'll take it to the vet and then I'll rehome it once it's not sick anymore. Okay, and then get this. They decide that they're going to leave the door open to make it look like the cat ran away. So then girl gets back. She is absolutely livid. I think she said that she yelled at everyone in the house and was like, who the fuck left the door open and let my cat out? Like, I would be livid too. It's absolutely insane. And like, I don't know. It's insane, right? Like, the whole plan itself is insane. Anyway. So, what happens is he takes the cat and he has the cat for 10 days. And I think 3 days into that, he takes the cat to the vet. Which, in my opinion, I don't understand why he couldn't have taken it to the vet immediately. If it was sick and it was urgent enough for him to warrant such drastic action. Like, this is like drastic, like a, I don't know, level 10, we have to fucking do something. That's crazy. And to wait 3 days, and his reasoning was that, like, oh, the emergency vet, there was such a big line and I didn't trust them to make a good diagnosis or whatever, which I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, a right diagnosis? Like, do you just think that, like, fucking toddlers work at the vet emergency or whatever the fuck it's called? No! People who are actually, like, animal doctors work at the fucking emergency vet. They do that. Do you know what they do there? They do surgery there. I don't think you can do surgery on a fucking animal if you don't have the right fucking requirements for it, man. But I don't know. It's America. So I wouldn't mind if someone American could weigh in on this and tell me, like, are emergency vets in America, like, fucking dumb or something? Because it's not like that here. It's not like that here in good old Australia, which is basically America's cousin, So yeah, he has the cat for 3 days, and I think in that 3 days or something, or during that 10-day period somewhere, I don't know for sure, the cat has a seizure, and it starts to lose weight very rapidly in his care. That is my alleged thought on it, because he did provide some, like, vet receipts, and then I guess it would have been, no, the weight thing was a 3 day, the 3rd day? Yeah, sorry. I mean, the problem with this is that there's not a lot of evidence. It's mostly like a he said, she said type of situation. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how much we gather from it, because there's just not enough evidence. So I'm really more like talking about this because I was very interested in like there's like a very real moral dilemma with this whole situation, and I have to say, like, when I was listening to the guy being interviewed, I just got weird vibes from him, and there were certain things that he said about the girl that gave off like really like weird vibes. Like, he was saying that the night the cat went missing, she went out and partied with her friends or something, or she went out clubbing with her friends or something, right? And he said to him, like, in his mind, that pretty much cemented the idea that she didn't really care about the cat. And I think that we should have a very different idea about these things, because there was that time in Australian media where there was the everyone in Australia knows the dingo ate my baby thing, where a lot of people thought that because the mother wasn't like reacting in the way that like a victim should react, or like, you know, she wasn't like publicly going through meltdowns or crying or whatever. People thought that because she wasn't acting the correct way, that she was in some sense guilty. And I have to say, like, we don't really know the full extent of the requirements of these people in a content house, and we don't know their contract specifically, but you know what I would gather from that is that, oh, maybe she already had made plans, and it was plans that were included, that were part of her contract, or like part of like her work hours. She was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go out and party later and make content out of it with her friends, and because it was already organized, it's like, well, I have to do this, otherwise I'm gonna get kicked out of this fucking house. So again, seeing that how the environment really is not good for either of those people. But I think that to make that decision on your own, all these decisions he's making on his own, being like, oh, yep, that means she didn't care about the cat. Nah. Like, that really fucking rubs me the wrong way. And he said that she didn't do enough. She didn't try to do enough when the cat went missing. Like, she didn't put enough posters up being like, or posting on TikTok being like, guys, my cat's missing if you see it in this area. Which, by the way, it's a really awkward thing for like a kind of public figure. I don't know how popular she was at the time, but she is in like a very public TikTok influencer setting. And I do know something where, well, I figure from my point of view, if it was me, I would be worried about putting that kind of information online, because there are some really weirdo people out there who might try to find the cat and like do some kind of extortion or even some horrible things to the cat. I agree though. I think it's a really tough situation, and I think any 18-year-old would be like, what the frig do I do about this? Like, yeah, that's rough. That's really rough to have to navigate at a young age. Which is why you shouldn't get cats at such a young age. Anyway, so apparently I think she said that she did do some things, like she did call around and stuff, and I mean, I feel like that kind of makes sense. When I think of like lost pets or anything, I don't really think about Facebook that much, because I've got to be honest, I don't think there's that many people on Facebook anymore. I really don't. I really don't. So, yeah, I feel like calling local shelters and shit would be like, or local vets or whatever, that's like, yeah, the first thing to do, which apparently she did do, but I don't know if I'm alleging that myself, so yeah. This is very quickly turning into maybe I'm lying about this, I don't know. But yeah, so this guy has taken the cat. He eventually takes it to the vet, and the vet's like, yeah, dude, like I can euthanize it, get it out of its misery. And I was thinking about this last night, and he did not choose that option. So the vet's telling him, like, oh yeah, man, like, we gotta get this thing out of its misery because it's too far gone, right? I think there was talk about it being like emaciated or not being like weighing enough and stuff. And yeah, so, and I guess the seizure, of course, that occurred. But the thing is, we don't know if this seizure occurred in her care either. We only know of it occurring in his care. So that does muddy the waters a little bit, because it's possible it did happen in her care and she just never said anything about it. But then there was like a whole other thing where, well, she wasn't really around that often. Like, she'd come home and she'd hang out with the cat and stuff, but it's possible the cat could have been having problems when she wasn't home. But then it was like when it was in his care, it had trouble walking or something. I'm not sure, but I would say it's probably very possible it was having seizures in her care, but that she may not have known about it. Maybe. But then you kind of got to think, like, if it was having trouble walking, it's like, did it have trouble walking around her? And like, if she didn't take it to a vet then I'd be like, yeah, that's not good animal care at all. But the reason why I was so like not on his side is that like everyone who was saying like, oh, the cat's sick, the cat's sick sometimes and it seems to get sick quite frequently, is they'd always say it's like, oh, it's getting sick because it has like a sniffly nose or something. Like, it's literally in the vet documents is that symptoms, sniffly nose. And I'm like, I don't know, is that like the only reason you're taking the cat, because it has a sniffly nose? But I think the problem was that it looked like it was not getting fed enough. And I'll admit it is kind of strange that she left it without water in the bowl. And I think there's a million one ways we could say things about it. Like, I don't know. I would wonder if maybe there was no water in the bowl because she didn't want the bowl to be tipped over while she wasn't there and then have like a whole water problem. I don't know. I mean, that's what I would think at my adult self, but even then, I'm not worried about my cats knocking over a water bowl because they have water fountains which cannot be knocked over. Sure, sometimes they jump in it. Don't love that, but it doesn't really happen that often anyway. Yeah, I'm looking at Bella, who's like up there. Anyway, yeah, so I mean, I'll admit it, like, it is. She is not in a good position either, but I think. Oh yeah, by the way, the cat did die after like 10 days. So he had the cat for almost 2 weeks. And during these 2 weeks that he had the cat, I think it was either in his room or it was in his mum's room, because I know his mum at some point was like helping him out with it. Still weird. Anyway, and during these almost 2 weeks that he had the cat, he was still hanging out with her, making content with her, acting like everything's all Gucci, and I find that really weird. And that he said that during his time with her in those 2 weeks, it became more and more clear to him that she didn't really care about the cat, but it's like, it doesn't sound like they were very close either, so it's like, why would she, I don't know, talk about it with you? It's like, she's there working. She's working, like, she's not gonna go around like stop working. Like, she's in an environment where she has to work. She has to do these things, as hard as it can be. So there's that. And I'm still like stuck on the fact that the vet suggested euthanization, and then he like turned around and went, yeah, nah, let's not do that. Like, I thought that was kind of weird. It was like, well, what are you expecting to happen here? Because the cat is not eating. It's also emaciated. And now, one really important fact is it's been taken away from its home environment. It's been taken away from its owner. It's actually potentially hanging around another cat because he had a cat at the time. So, really weird. Really weird stuff. And apparently his cat was sick with something at some point, but it is unclear if it was sick while this other cat was there, and it is also unclear if both cats were in contact with one another, but I'm assuming if he did keep it in his room with his cat, there would be contact. Like, there would be, right? I don't know. Unless he has his own private bathroom. Again, they're not very forthcoming with these questions. As far as I'm aware with the dude, the girl, I don't think she's really spoken public about it much. I know she has made a couple of videos, but get this, we have just found out online that this whole situation happened. She's just now finding out 2 years after the fact that her cat did not in fact run away, and that a guy she was living with had taken it from her and it died in his care. And that he lied to her and made it seem like it had run away. And it's psychotic. It's insane psychotic behavior, I think. I feel like there are professional channels you can go through for these kind of things, and I don't think stealing someone's cat and lying to them is like, I don't know, I just don't see it being like the only option in that situation. I don't see it. And he said that, like, the reason why he never confronted her or went like, hey, you should take your cat to the vet, is because he didn't want the confrontation. Okay, pussy. Fucking pussy? Yeah, that's what I have to say. You're a pussy. Sorry, but like, he didn't even try to talk to her about it first. He just went, she's gonna react this way, she's gonna do this, she's not gonna listen to me. Get this. Okay, here's some extra tea about the situation. Apparently, in the first week, when they were both at the house together, so I think he joined a little bit after her, and she had already been there for a while, and then this first month, when he joined, in the first week of that month, they hooked up. They had like allegedly, they had like a romantic relationship for like a very brief period, and then cut it off. And then I'm guessing some other dude entered the picture, because then we see videos of like some guy holding the cat being like, Seven, you gotta stop being sick all the time. And that's like her boyfriend after the fact. I just find it really just strange. Like, some dude who she briefly dated or whatever, whether they were like actually dating or not, they had a romantic level of interaction, which I think is very interesting. And there's even a clip of him talking about how he wants his cat to fuck her cat. I'm not saying like cat is in like, if you know, you know. I mean like literally, he wanted their cats to bone for some reason. And she was like there's this video and you can tell she's just like, why are you saying that? No. And then he's like, hey guys on TikTok, let me know if you have a cat that wants to have sex, because I want my cat to have sex. It's like, why are you so obsessed with your cat having sex? Like, I get that it's probably just a cringe TikTok or whatever, but it's like, can you not? Can you shut the fuck up? Fucking loser. I'm sorry, I hate this guy. I really do. But I do think they're both like in the wrong, but I hate this guy. This guy is like, I've been around cats my whole life. I know how to handle cats, and I'm just like, that doesn't fucking mean shit, dude. That actually doesn't mean anything. The fact that you've been around an animal, and he keeps going on and on like, I love animals, I always take care of animals. It's like, okay, who are you trying to convince? Like, Jesus fucking Christ. I don't know, it just seems a bit fucking weird to me. Yeah, so, I mean, the whole thing just, like, gives off very iffy vibes to me. I know you can't, like, completely base everything off of vibes. I know that. But I am learning to be more like, hey, if my gut instinct is telling me something, I'm gonna listen to it. So, that's kind of like what I've been thinking. I've been thinking about it so much lately, because it is such an interesting, like, moral dilemma. It's like, do you risk the chance of outing yourself as someone who doesn't approve of someone else's animal care, especially when you live in the same house together, which would create conflict potentially and strife among members? That is a degree of things that is concerning. But also, like, if you said that, it would mean that you went into her room without her permission, and that's like a whole other level of like scary crazy. That's what I think. Because I think, like, what prompted him in the beginning to even go into her room? You know? I mean, like, what was it? What prompted it? What prompted it? I don't understand. I think maybe, sure, maybe he was like, oh, I want to say hi to her cat or whatever, but I don't know. Maybe, but it's weird. It's absolutely bonkers. And he was making it out like, oh, she leaves this cat in the room all day by itself, in this small room. And she has a very big room. She has a walk-in closet, a private bathroom that is massive, and her whole ass bedroom, which has a fireplace, obviously not active, but it has a fireplace. It's a massive. If you can think of like a mansion bedroom, it's like that. It is clearly a great space for a cat, I think. At least a single one. If there was more than one cat, I'd be able to like, it'd probably be fine, but anyway. Like, he was saying all these things to try and make it seem like she was being like so terrible to the cat, when, like, dude, most people who own pets leave them at home alone all day anyway, right? Because people have jobs that they have to fucking go to, right? So are you gonna say that everyone else in the world is a terrible pet owner because they leave their pets alone at home because they have to go to fucking work? Yeah, okay. Sure, bucko. Does he not do the same thing with his cat? I don't know. It just seemed like a very weird angle. And if anyone knows cats, oh, we're gonna get into a fight over who knows cats the best. It's gonna be me. No, I mean, I'm just saying, like, ugh. Yeah, that's what I say. Ugh. I'm not gonna lie, I lost my train of thought. That's why I'm making noises. Okay, well, I just think that I don't think the dude knew the cat all that well. And I think that to take someone's pet, that she clearly loved it, I think. I think she loved it. Because okay, I get, never mind. I guess it's not fair for me to assume that, just because, like, I'm probably basing it off of some biases that I have, and that's not fair either. So maybe. I know a lot of people speculate and think that she sees her cat as an accessory to her life, and I think that that's another assumption that people make based on their own bias, and I don't think that's fair either. I don't think that's fair to say. And some people were like really digging into her videos, being like, oh, she referred to the cat as it, which is like totally wrong. And it's like, well, I mean, it's like it's so hard to really make an opinion about it, I guess, because there's just so little that's been given about it. And I think that, oh, you want to know how we found out about this in the first place? Is that someone leaked the DMs between him and some other person or something. So someone, I think, who was a part of that trio that saw the cat in the first place, someone leaked that. And that's juicy and that's interesting. And he was asked, oh, who do you think leaked the thing in the first place? And he said, I don't see how that's relevant, but I have an idea who it might be. And it's like, you don't see how it's relevant? Oh, that's interesting. Because in my opinion, I think it's entirely relevant. I think it's very important information, and I also think, why not tell people? Why not? Like, it's just a little bit interesting, isn't it? Now, I don't see him having a reason to do that. I mean, okay, here's one thing. Maybe he felt guilty because after the cat had passed away, or something like that, or like after she had gotten kind of like famous, he started messaging her again and asking if she wanted to hang out, and like, I don't know, he was like acting really weird or something, according to her, I think. this is kind of where the details get muddy because I don't know if I'm remembering them totally well, but apparently he had tried to make contact with her and he wanted to hang out with her, and I think he said stuff like, "Oh, I'm sorry about what happened to you," something, and it's like it's still very weird, isn't it? It's like, leave her alone. I think you've done enough damage as it is. But in some way, I wonder if he was trying to clear his conscience over it, you know? Clear his, like, feelings, because I feel like I would feel terrible about that. I mean, she didn't know what happened to it until, like, just now, like, in real life, like, just now. So she's, like, re-grieving the whole process because, like, what she thought was just a cat that got lost and ran away and maybe someone else picked it up or something and it had a different life. No, that cat died away from her alone. And I think that's so sad because, like, you know, that you see clips of her and the cat clearly loved her, and you know, she clearly enjoyed its company. You know, there were times when it was like cuddling with her in bed and purring, like they had a relationship, you know. I mean, like a friendship relationship, you know. So, and she's like making these videos now being like, I only just found out that this happened, and now she's re-grieving the entire thing in a completely different way, because you imagine your pet all alone and you had like no idea, and it was someone you lived with who did that, which is like, I'm sorry, I don't think I could trust having roommates ever again if that happened. It's just so wild. But now let me say this. Depending on how sick the cat was, I think she probably should have taken it to the vet sooner. However, apparently, according to them both, I think, someone in the situation says that when the cat first got sick, she did call the I don't know if it was like the fosterer or like the place she got the cat from originally, the adoption center. Yeah. She called them because usually when you adopt a cat, the adoption center will have a vet who works there, because obviously people cannot sell pets or sell like animals that haven't been neutered, spayed, had their initial vaccinations or treatments. So there will be a vet who works with these, you know, adoption centers. I don't know how it works with other people, other places in the world, but in Australia, that's how it works. When I adopted Bella, I think Bella was like, yeah, I think Bella was actually like 4 months old when we got her. Wow, I can't even remember, but it was that long ago, I guess. Doesn't feel like it, but yeah, so when I adopted Bella, we even met with the vet, and she actually did have a follow-up appointment with the what do you call it? I think it was with the adoption vet, but I think yeah, because we definitely met with her once, and I think she had to check on the stitches to make sure, because Bella had just been spayed, and then she was like, okay, you're gonna have to go to like a vet and establish like a profile with them so that, you know, they have the animal's details on profile, because that can be helpful, because then if you ever have to take it to an emergency vet, then the emergency vet will be like, let us know where your vet is and we'll get the information from them. You know, it's cool how that works. Again, I don't know if we're like severely advanced in like animal welfare or something, but that's how it works over here. Anyway, yeah, so it does make me wonder, like, why didn't she just take it to the vet earlier? If it was 4 months old, it is pet, and it was like neutered or something. It's like, what's the timeline on that, you know? Had it already been neutered or spayed or whatever the fuck? Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to know. And, yeah. It's a really hard situation, but oh my god, I can't believe I've been talking about this for like 40 fucking minutes. I haven't even finished my coffee. Yeah. It's hard, I guess. And, um, I mean, there was some things about it that made me feel like, I feel like she loved the cat. I feel like maybe she just didn't know as well what to do. If she called the adoption center and said, hey, my cat's a little bit sick, and they said, hey, don't worry about it, that's like a completely like normal thing, just make sure it doesn't get worse. Maybe that's the advice she was given, you know? You know, if it gets worse, take it to a vet, and then the cat didn't get worse, because yeah, I guess you'd have to say it's both parties are at fault, because if she was like really, really in the clear, I feel like she'd talk way more about it, or like talk way more about like the cat's health before it was taken away. But oh, she did actually have a photo of the cat the day before it was stolen by the guy, and it was like it looked fine. You couldn't really tell much about it, but some people like made comments being like, "Oh, it's got matted fur or whatever," and it's like, then you look at the picture of it when it was adopted, and it's like, no, that's just its fur, dude. I think it just has like shaggy fur, and some cats are really not good at brushing themselves. But in saying that, it's like if that's a problem, then you have to deal with it yourself. You have to brush them for them. So again, yeah, all roads lead to like both people are at fault, I think. But I think it's so fucked up that people want to blame her when the guy is the one who stole it. He effectively stole her chance of doing the right thing, you know? And you could argue like, oh, you know, you could argue that maybe she wasn't working fast enough to take care of it and stuff, but then you think about like what he did, and he didn't do any better. That's my opinion of it. He stole the cat and didn't do any fucking better with it. And now what begs the question is, where is the cat's body? If it wasn't euthanized and it died in his care, what did he do with the body? I don't know. It's just like, it's so fucked up. And he was gonna rehome it once it got better, apparently. Which is like a whole nother level of fucked up. And he said she doesn't deserve to know what happened to the cat. That's crazy. He said that. He thought she didn't deserve to know. I think that's just wild, to make all those decisions for somebody. For somebody that you don't even know. You barely know her. You maybe fucked her once, but to have all these convictions about her, it just screams that he had some sort of like resentment or some sort of issue with her personally, and that those personal issues were influencing the way he was behaving. That's what it says to me. And yeah, I don't know. I didn't like the guy. I think I'd like to hear more from her, because ultimately she hasn't really said much, whereas he's been saying a lot. And I think the fact that he's been saying so much is kind of like, I guess he kind of has to, though, because if he didn't say anything, then like, yeah, I guess he does kind of have to say stuff, huh? But I would really like to hear more from her. So I guess in saying that, I'm not really choosing anyone's side, but I would like more people to acknowledge that what he did was crazy, wildly inappropriate. But again, I don't know how it works in America. It's kind of like the same with like children. You cannot steal a child from someone, even if you know they're being abusive. You just can't do it. I know. It's like we want to do vigilante justice, right? We want to be Batman. You want to be the hero, but in the real world, that's not really how it fucking works. And you cannot steal someone's child, irregardless of what's happening, which I know sucks. But that's why we have proper channels to go through for these sorts of things. And I don't think America's that backwards where they don't have animal welfare. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've seen like those abusive animal hoarder houses in America because they have an animal welfare system. I don't know. I just think that, yeah, for the first choice being like, yep, stealing the cat, that's the only thing we can do. I don't know. And you, even if you said like, oh, we stole it because we didn't have time for the other stuff, it's like, you had 3 days to take it to the vet. I think you took your time with it regardless. So, yeah. Anyway, case closed. That's my thoughts on the whole thing. And you really did listen to my thoughts. So I guess we'll get to the Reddit segment of the podcast. Just reminding you, you're listening to a podcast. Thank you. Okay. Can vampires get AIDS? Wait, what? Sorry. It's, of course, r/The Vampire Diaries. Yeah, I think because in True Blood there was like a vampire AIDS virus, kind of. Very interesting. But then they decided to never mention it ever again because I think the creator ended up thinking, you know what, it's kind of not cool. Interesting. Anyway, so we are looking at am I the arsehole? Throw rocket. Okay. Let's start. Am I the asshole for giving a family heirloom to my wife, even though my sister didn't want me to? I'm thinking maybe you are the asshole, but let's listen a little bit longer. My 51 male parents, brackets 75 male, 74 female. What the fuck is the 51 for then? 51. Wait. My 51 male parents, then he says 75 male, 74 female. What? Okay. Let's just say there's 75 and 74. Now. They're workaholics and addicted to money. They loved their jobs more than their children. They're the assholes. That's why they sent me and my sister to live with our grandmother. Aww. When we were 6 and 8. Wow, that's a really young time to be sent away. My sister, 49 female, moved out when she turned 18, and I continued living with my grandmother until I graduated from college at 25. Because I enjoyed living with her, and I also wanted to take care of her when she got sick. That's lovely. That's very sweet. The thing is that a few months ago, she died and she left everything to me, my sister, my wife, 34 female, and our children. Wait a second. Your wife's 34. Your sister is 49 at the moment. 6 and 8. 49. So he's potentially either a few years older than his sister or just a few years younger. That's a fine age gap. Never mind. I'm looking into the details too much, as some people would say. Okay. Our children, him and his wife, have 8 female, 6 female, 4 female, 2 female, and then a 2-month-old boy. You're the asshole. You're the asshole because you have 5 kids. But my sister only wanted one thing. That was the necklace that belonged to my father's family for almost 2 centuries. That is quite an heirloom. My ancestors always gave those necklaces to their daughters-in-law when they gave birth to their first male child, as a form of celebration because the family name would continue for at least one more generation. But my grandmother hated my mother and never gave it to her. She only kept it because she hoped I would give it to my wife, and I did. That is rough. I gave the necklace to my wife when our son was born and never told my sister. And when she saw my wife wearing it, she lost her mind. Wait. She accused me of being greedy and selfish and also accused me of having stolen such a precious family jewel to give it to a whore. Quotations, whore. For the non-visual listeners. Quotations, a whore. Holy shit! She always hated my wife because she didn't agree with our grandmother adopting the daughter of the nurse who took care of her as another granddaughter. Whoa. She always hated my wife because she didn't agree with our grandmother adopting the daughter of the nurse who took care of her as another granddaughter. Okay, so I'm guessing that the wife Whoa. So the wife's mom took care of the grandma, and I'm guessing that's how the dude and her kind of met. According to her, it was unfair that she loved my wife more than her, but my grandmother loved her because my wife was always there for her. Yeah, I mean, she moved out at 18. It sounds like she couldn't wait to be gone. Which is like fair enough. You live your life, honey. My sister, on the other hand, rarely visited her after moving. And when her children were born, she never taught them our grandmother's language so they could communicate. And that hurt our her. I'm just gonna say they hurt her because she loved communicating with my children who do know her language. Damn, this guy played the grandma like, oh, he's like, I'm gonna teach him language. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not reading that far into it. It sounds like, yeah, it was really important to him that he be connected to the grandma. It's like, that's nice. Yeah, that is nice. And it is kind of true. It's like, grandparents are gonna love the people who treated them like a human, you know? A lot of people view their grandparents as being like, whatever, I'm not gonna visit. I'll visit maybe like on Christmas or whatever, but whatever. But, they're people too. They have like, I can't believe I'm saying it, like, old people are people too, guys. Wow, long story short, I don't think I did anything wrong by giving that jewel to my wife. But suddenly my sister and even my parents believe that I should return the jewel because it is something that my sister wants to keep as a memory of her grandmother. But I don't care. Wow. Oh, okay, edit 1. My grandmother adopted my wife as her granddaughter symbolically, not literally. Okay, that's a good edit. And no, I haven't known her since she was little. It's stupid to make up things I never said. When I met her, she was an adult and in college. All people are going for the age gap, I think. Well, let's see. His sister's 49, 6 and 8. It's hard to know, but 6, 7, 8. So it's only a 2-year gap between the kids. The guy and his sister. His sister's 49, 50, 51. So he could be 51, or he could be like 47. His wife's 34. Whatever, they're adults. The age gap doesn't really matter, to be honest. Well, okay, you know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like they just kept trying to have fucking kids so that they could just have a boy. So that he could just, I don't know, that it's just, I have very mixed feelings about people who have large families. That's what I think. I think, how the fuck do you even expect to support a family that big? And I don't think you can possibly give the right amount of care to 5 children. I don't think you can. I think that even families that have like 2 kids can struggle to do things right, 5 is crazy. It's absolutely bonkers. So, in that regard, I do kind of feel like side-eyeing a little bit. But I don't really care that much about tradition, to be honest. It is cute that they're upholding a family tradition, though. I think that's cute, and I think that's, it's nice. Yeah. It sounds like the sister's just jealous as fuck, though. Like, if she really cared about the grandma, I feel like, girl, you should have had a son before then, or something. Girl, you should have had kids then, huh? Maybe thought about that. Calling her a whore, though? That is crazy. Yeah, okay, I gotta say, I don't think he's the asshole, but, yeah. Yeah, people are saying complicated, but not the asshole. And if that's what the grandma wanted, I think out of everything, you have to respect what the person wants. The person who's passing things down, you have to respect what they have to say, That's what I think too. Really misogynistic tradition for the record, ew. Oh my god, wait, I need to read this. Whatever. If they wanted your sister to have it, they would have given it to her. But on the other hand, it's absolute bullshit that she's not worthy because she doesn't carry on the family name or whatever. In the year of Lady Gaga 2024, insane. Okay, that comment's insane. Everyone is an asshole here for upholding that crap. Jesus fucking Christ. What kind of message does that give your daughters? Yeah, that is true. That is true. Sorry, honey, you're less valuable since you'll change your name one day. For the record, many married women don't, and last names don't always come from dads. Also, what if any of the kids are gay? Jesus, I don't have the time. I wanted you to explain how monumentally stupid that tradition is. Anyway, I mean, that's why I don't really believe in traditions anymore. Or, like, at all. I don't think I've ever really cared for tradition. In my family, we didn't really have traditions. We had the traditional parent goes to the, mental hospital every year. That was a tradition. Oh, sorry, the water bottle. I forgot about that. We had the traditional St. Patrick's Day, get really fucking drunk and then yell at people. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm glad that we never had a tradition like that. I mean, yeah. And to be honest, we never had a problem with, like, our grandparents, like, belongings and stuff. Like, I know when my grandpappy died, some things went to my brother, and then some things went to me. And even though the things my brother got were pretty cool, I thought it was really cool that they had a tradition of, yeah, I guess they had a tradition of passing down, like, this watch to, like, sons of the family or some shit. But I don't really care about that. Like, even if I had a son, I'd be like, I guess, I mean, to be fair, I actually do have stuff of my grandfather's that I could give my son anyway. So, yeah, I'm not worried about that, I guess. Maybe this is what families should do. They should have more than one heirloom. Something to give to the girls, something to give to the guys, and the non-binaries and the in-betweens. It's a bit of a joke, but I do think that maybe having more than one heirloom would help people not be so, like, left out. Because I think ultimately, yeah, the sister feels left out. She feels like an outsider got something that maybe she wanted, and I feel like she's kind of valid in thinking that, but it does also sound like she didn't really care about the grandmother that much. So, with that in mind, I would be tempted to say that maybe she doesn't deserve a say in it. That's what I think. I feel like, yeah. But then I also have to think about, like, the dude's thought process and all this, because I know a lot of family members who would hang out with, like, the older people in the family because they knew that they could get things out of it, like when the person passes away. A lot of people are like that, where they'll be like, oh, I'm going to spend so much time, I'm going to take care of this person, and in return, they're going to give me all their shit when they die. It's kind of like, weird, I guess. It's like, in some ways, like, oh, it's a mutually beneficial, like, trade, but it's like, it's weird vibes. It's like, yo, why can't people just be interested in the elderly? I feel like I get along really well with elderly people, because I'm so interested in, like, their stories and their life experiences and stuff. And, you know, I just wish that it was easier to communicate with a lot of them, because some of them are not as good at hearing, so it's harder to communicate. And sometimes I just wish I could, like, talk to them a little bit easier, because I'm so interested in it. Because it really is like a whole different lifetime ago that we do not experience today. And, you know, sometimes they have interesting takes and opinions on society, but, you know, you go, oh, they're old. They're old, it's fine. I don't know, there's something about it that I feel like I'm in my element when I talk to old people. Yeah. But it's interesting to me, so. Yeah. Let's look for another one. I'm trying to look for a good one. Ooh, this one's interesting. Am I the asshole for pulling out of my sister's wedding a year before the event and being mad that she won't talk to me now? Okay. Oh shit, this is sister on sister violence. I, 28 female, was asked by my 25 female sister to be the maid of honor for her wedding that was between 1.5 years to 2 years out. 6 months ago, I found out that I am pregnant. My husband and I hadn't really been actively trying, but we weren't using protection because I've been told since I was in my teens that I was unlikely to be able to get pregnant. Huh? Naturally, we are overjoyed, and our families are as well. Except for my sister. Oh. Okay, a few weeks following my pregnancy announcement, my mom and sister had a conversation about being realistic on if I would be able to take on all the duties of being her maid of honor while pregnant and later with an infant. Yeah, let's see if it's a year out. Yeah, she'd be like, just had a baby. I don't know what the fucking duties of a maid of honor are, though. Let's actually have a look. What are the maid of honor duties? I mean, if you've just had a baby, yeah, probably not. Probs not, eh? Alright, brides.com. Ooh, let's find out. The responsibilities assigned to a maid of honor aren't quite what they used to be. However, while there are many duties that differ, at its core, the role of the maid of honor is to simply support the bride. Yeah. Already thinking, no, that does not sound like that's gonna be doable. Maid of honor, support the bride, go wedding dress shopping, serve as the main point of contact, plan the bachelorette party, give a speech at the reception. Oh no. I'm like reading this and thinking of who my maid of honor is going to be, and I'm give a speech at the reception. Uh-oh. Mediate conflict among the bridal party. Have fun. Why the fuck is there going to be conflict at the bridal party? What the fuck? Okay, I'm appalled that that's even like a part of the duties is like mediating conflict. See, why is getting married such like a conflicting or like problematic thing? Anyway, we're getting sidetracked all way off. So, my sister later spoke with me and told me that if I could not follow through with the duties of being her maid of honor, it was okay. They could find something else for me to be involved in with the wedding. For context, my sister and F. Bill's wedding party. F. Bill's father brother-in-law? Something brother-in-law. Female brother-in-law? I don't know what the fuck an F bill is. Okay. I guess we're looking it up. What is an F bill? Financial benchmarks. No. No. Financial benchmarking in India. Federal Bureau of Investigation. Okay. I guess we'll never know. For context, my sister and F. Bill's wedding party is so big that they have 2 best men and 2 maiden of honors. I discussed it with my family and husband, but I ultimately decided that it wasn't fair to my sister or my child to make a promise to fulfill those duties when I'd have a 3 to 4 month old infant and was generally unsure if I could do everything she needed of me. The wedding is in 2 towns away, 30 plus minutes drive, and I would either have to bring the baby with me for the day of the wedding, and parentheses, what bride and bridesmaids want to listen to a baby all day while they're getting ready? Facts. Or I would have to leave the baby with someone else from around 8 a.m. that morning to somewhere between 6 to 8 p.m. at night. So I ultimately pulled out of the wedding party about 12 months before the date and intend to help with other things. The problem is, despite my sister giving me the out and me taking the out, she will not speak to me. She hasn't spoken to me or answered my calls in about 6 months. She showed up to my gender reveal and completely ignored me? What? She ignores me at family dinners, outings, etc. My entire family has told her she is in the wrong and needs to get over it, but I understand that it's her special day. I mean, to be honest, it sounds like your sister's looking out for your best intentions, or she wants the best for you. That's the vibe I'm getting. But now I'm angry too, because I know that once I have this baby, she's going to try and come into my home and act like everything is fine, and I will not allow that to happen. I've had a difficult pregnancy so far, full of complications and sickness. My sister has been my best friend for years. She was the first person I called when I found out, and she was the one that gave me an out in the first place. I needed her too. Edit, to clear up some confusion. I'm still planning on being involved in the wedding to some capacity and attending, just not as the maid of honor. Edit again, I've corrected the timeline. Wow. um, damn. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess if like, they see each other as like best friends and they're only a few years apart, it's like, yeah, it probably would have been really nice to have have your sorry, your best friend, your sister as your maid of honor, but why can't she just be like a bridesmaid or whatever? Wait, is that what they're called? Bridesmaids or something? Like, yeah. Like, yeah, why can't she just be like a bridesmaid? Although she still intends to attend the wedding, even with a 3 to 4 month old baby. Um, hmm. It is interesting because it is. Look, I don't want to be that person, but it is kind of like you're going to a wedding. Do you really want to have to listen to a baby all day? Sorry, that's what I think. Because then everyone's going to go to the well, I guess they might not go to the after party. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It just seems like, yeah, she can't do the job of maid of honor, but she's still going. It's like, yeah, grow the fuck up and just accept it. Does she really not have anyone else in her life who could be a maid of honor? Jesus, like, I don't even have that many people, and I still can't decide who I'd have as a maid of honor. I mean, I can, but it's like, you know. You know what I mean? There's choices, I guess. Hmm. Um, let's see. I'm honestly confused by the math. You got oh, this is a comment. Um, you got pregnant. I assume you found out around a month after getting pregnant. And you talked to your sister who told you it was okay not to be maid of honor. More time passes. You finally decide not to go to the wedding. 14 months before it happens because your baby would be between 3 and 4 months old. How is it possible? You made the decision at the earliest when you were 2 months pregnant, with 7 months to go. So your baby would be around 7 months, which is a huge difference when a baby is that young. So what's up with that? Hmm. I can see like not wanting to have like a babysitter for that long. Like that's like an all day babysitter. So I can see that, and you never like anticipate how you're gonna feel about that kind of stuff when you have clearly like she's never had a kid before. You know, she doesn't want to miss a day probably. Hmm. So she said it was a couple towns over plus a 30-minute drive. Wait, what? 30 minutes is a typical drive from where I'm from. However, 30 minutes is a long time if there's something that happens and I need to get to the baby. Yeah, I mean, okay, someone else has said, I'm gonna be real with you. At 3 months, I was so done being stuck in the house attached to my breast pump. I would have loved an event to go to, but I have many trusted people I can leave my daughter with without a second thought. Oh, just a thought though. All the weddings I've been to have been child free except for family and babies on the boob. Babies on the boob? Child free except for family. Oh, and babies on the boob. I have never heard that before. I would consider it pretty rude to expect a nursing mum not to bring their baby with them. Could you maybe bring your baby and babysitter and just rent a hotel room or ask your sister slash mum for a room at the venue reserved for them? I think that's kind of insane. That's more insane than like everything else. Is that not insane? Being like, okay, I'm gonna pay you to look after my baby, but I'm gonna get you guys a hotel room and I mean, it'd be a great gig for the babysitter, I think, but hmm. And I guess the father's going too, so that's why he can't. What could possibly happen that the baby's other parent father couldn't handle? True, it's like if she's the maid of honor and something happens, the dad can go and take care of the baby or something, right? But then it's like, well, where are your priorities? Your priorities are probably being a mother to this child, and being a maid of honor to your sister is probably not the highest on the hierarchy, I guess. Which I can see the sister being like, where? But at the end of the day, I feel like child child's here. wedding's probably here. I don't see it being any closer because realistically, it's the other person's special day. So what happens doesn't really matter to the soon to be mother, I guess. I don't know. It's I don't know if it is a pretty immature reaction though, isn't it? To like not talk at all. To not talk at all to your sister, it's crazy. Anyway, yeah. That was pretty fun though. I enjoyed that. I'd like to do more of it, but I spent so much of it bitching about some cat situation. So hopefully you found that fun. I'm not gonna do any editing to this video. I think I'm just gonna pretty much leave it as is. But if you would prefer like a visual read along for the Reddit stuff, if I do it again, um, yeah, then I'll consider doing it, I suppose. Oh, all right. Well, that was a strangely drama-filled episode. I hope you enjoyed catching up with me. I really enjoyed this, and I would be happy to do more like this in the future. Yeah, yeah, I think it's cool. All right. Well, uh, if you want more of me, you can catch me on my stream, kick.com/katiedraws. And yeah, I'll see you like next week. Catch up again soon. Um, okay. Goodbye and take care of yourself. And I have some imparting words of wisdom. And I'm imparting them right now. There you go. Now you can think about what that might have been. Bye.